Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Dan Blanchard with the Travel in Time with Dan show, where we talk about travel and history and leadership, and of course, combine it with me, Dan Blanchard. Today, I am at Fort Knox, Maine, and the Penobscot Narrows Bridge. Not the one in Kentucky, not looking at Fort Knox, Kentucky with all the money. We're looking at Fort Knox, Maine with the granite walls here in Maine, this fort that we use to protect our country. So let me give you a little history on why we have this magnificent fort here in Maine. All right, I'm sure you're familiar with the American-British Wars of 1776, the War of Independence, and then almost the repeat in 1812, where the British come back, kind of beat up the Americans again, but then the Americans again outlast them, and the British kind of go home, right? Well, that's why we have this fort, because during those two wars, where the Americans fought the British sailed their ships right up this river, no problem. Right over there by the Penobscot Bridge there, that's called the Narrows, right? They went right up that, and they went right into Maine, and basically ransacked Maine and took it like twice, even changed the name of Maine to New Ireland. Yes, Maine was called New Ireland twice during 1776 war and the 1812 war. It was called New Ireland twice because the British just took it and we couldn't stop them. And we were determined that we were not going to do that again. All right, that we were not going to let the British just sail up here and just take Maine and change its name to New Ireland. All right, so now here's where it kind of gets a little funky. I mean, after the War of 1812, all right, everything's kind of going good. Right, but what happens is we have this little boundary dispute with New Brunswick and Canada. And some people call it the Aroostook War or the Pork and Beans War, right? The Pork and Beans War. It was really more of a boundary dispute, but people were really afraid that the British, for a third time, would just come right up here, sail up this river again. We wouldn't be able to stop them again. And the British, in the name of Canada or New Brunswick, would take this area of Maine again. Change its name again? Who knows? So they built this fort here, trying to make sure that that wasn't going to happen. And they're going to name it after Major General Henry Knox. Right now, he's the same Major General Henry Knox of the famed Noble Train Artillery of the 1776 Revolutionary War. Some of you guys may remember that. Him and Benedict Arnold was involved. Right? They went over to Fort Ticonderoga, stole the cannons, took it over from the British, stole the cannons, and somehow moved those cannons through like 300 miles of these Maine woods and got them over to Boston, where they put them up on the hilltop and drove the British out of Boston, right? What a great, great story that is. And that was General Henry Knox making that really happen. Now, you may be thinking, who is this guy? This guy, General Henry Knox, right? Well, believe it or not, he was a bookstore owner. Right? You wouldn't think that the bookstore owner would become the father of American artillery, be famous with a noble train of artillery, right? Become the first Secretary of War, founded the Navy, founded the American Defense Department, right? I mean, a bookstore owner did all that. It's just simply amazing that he did all that, right? And this fort that you're looking at behind me, it was built during the years of 1844 to 1869. So yeah, 25 years of building it. And you could see these granite walls, right? Real intimidating. People knew they weren't going to knock this fort down. There was no way they were just going to knock this fort down. Very intimidating, right? So now here's the funny thing, is this fort, believe it or not, hasn't really been attacked. Yeah, it hasn't really been attacked, right? The whole boundary dispute, the Pork and Beans War, the Aroostook War, whatever you want to call it, didn't exactly happen, and the fort wasn't attacked, all right? This fort was used a little bit during the Civil War, but it wasn't attacked by the South in the Civil War. It was used a little bit in the Spanish-American War to house troops, but again, not really attacked or anything like that. But hey, it's a deterrence. And that's a big, big thing, right? It's a coastal battery system. It's the third system is what they call it. And they had this thing called the hot shot cannonball furnaces where they would heat up cannonballs until they were like red hot. And when they were red hot, they'd shoot them out on any ships out there that had to sail right by this. And those red hot cannonballs would set those ships on fire here in the Penobscot Narrows. As you can see, there's the bridge over there. And if you could see it, there is an observatory tower over there, which I guess is considered one of the highest. I don't know if it's in the United States or on a bridge, but it's definitely but it's one of the highest, all right? Now, let me tell you what's going to eventually happen here, all right? This bridge this fort's like never really attacked. Some people say, oh my gosh, what a waste of time and money. But the thing is, no, the deterrence of getting people not to mess with us, not to attack us, that's a big deal, all right? That's a huge deal. But eventually, the wooden ships that you could set afire with the hot shot cannonballs, that's going to go bye-bye because ships are going to eventually become ironclad, ironclap, and that's going to go bye-bye, and you're not going to be able to just set them on fire anymore. And the modern artillery is going to be able to shoot from a long ways away and be able to start knocking down forts' walls. Sadly, forts are going to become obsolete. They're just not going to be worth spending the time and money on eventually, okay? So whenever I do one of these Travel in Time with Dan episodes, how we mix travel with history and with leadership, this place is absolutely worth traveling down here and seeing this. It is so cool. I've already given you a little bit of the history of this place. Now, so what's the leadership? What's the leadership down here? Well, I would say the leadership is just one simple word. You ready for it? Deterrence. That's right. Deterrence. If you don't have to fight a battle because of deterrence, because of a show of strength, and you don't have to fight that battle, that's great. That's a really good thing, all right? And that's great leadership to keep you and your people out of those battles because of a show of strength, because of deterrence. That is a fabulous thing, and I couldn't think of anything that would be better than that here at Fort Knox. Would you want to attack this fort? I wouldn't. And guess what? That saves lives when you don't have to, right? Defend yourself because people just aren't going to attack you. So deterrence is a huge leadership lesson here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for spending time with me today on the Travel in Time with Dan show here at Fort Knox in Maine, where we're mixing travel with history and with leadership. I'll be back again real soon with another great episode. And until then, take care. Have a great day. Have a show of strength, and hopefully deterrence is on your side too.